Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex breaking news update because we have brand new spoilers from 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 16, and we got everything from the big setup of Sarada versus Matsuri in their battle to class reps. Heated conversation about her feelings for Boruto and Boruto's training with Kashin Koji. There's a lot that happens in a very context-heavy chapter this month, with this chapter being the last chapter for Volume 4 of the manga. So like usual, I'll go over the parts that grab my attention the most, and for the other parts I'll save for the review when I have more context. Quick reminder in regards to this chapter, it will officially be out on the 20th, available to read for free on the Viz Media Shonen Jump app, as well as Shueisha's Manga Plus app. Reading over there help support Ikimoto and his staff. Since we're getting chapter leaks so close to the official release, more likely than not the review's probably going to be out on the 21st, because the chapter review editor needs around 48 hours to edit the videos. So hopefully I get a fully translated chapter, and best case scenario we get the review out on the 20th. If not, it'll probably be the 21st. So I thank you in advance for your patience and your understanding and your support. So the first thing that stands out here is that we have Sarada as a part of that team going with Konoha, and they have stumbled across Matsuri, and it looks like Matsuri and Ryu have immediately clocked Sarada, Konoha, and MISCALCULATION, which means that we're definitely more likely than not getting a battle in the next chapter. And I do like the small changes made here. So Sarada usually keeps her headband on the side of her jacket, but now she's wearing her headband on the top of her head, very similar to the way that Sakura wore it in Naruto Part 2. So that was kind of a nice touch to see that. Somewhere the "it's not about ninjas anymore" crowd, they're in the mud. But the other thing that stands out here is that Boruto's training with Kashin Koji is shown to us, or rather part of his training with Kashin Koji is shown, and we get some pretty important information that's going to leave some Boruto detractors feeling very salty. Basically, Boruto didn't just spend the whole remaining 2 years of his time skip training solely inside of a cave. He and Kashin Koji, they did move around a bit based on the background. They're back around the outskirts of the Land of Fire just based off of the background itself. So Kashin Koji is teaching Boruto how to perform the flying Raijin jutsu, and he's showing some of the Jura genetics that are really coming through to the surface, because he's taken the time to teach Boruto the jutsu by relating it to things that Boruto already knows and is familiar with, the sign of a good teacher. Granted, it does help that Boruto's mind doesn't melt down with information overload when trying to process information that is verbally explained to him in the way that Naruto's mind would when you would use words that are larger than 4 syllables and higher than a 3rd grade vocabulary level, and they don't come with stick figures to teach it to him. And it's still very impressive that Koji is able to get this information to Boruto in a way that he processes it, even though Boruto is smarter than his dad was. Koji tells Boruto that space-time ninjutsu, it is something that it is a basic power of the Otsutsuki clan, which that backs up what Amato said before in Boruto Part 1. All ninjutsu that we saw, they are just watered down versions of the Otsutsuki clan shinjutsu. Koji explains to Boruto that he's used space-time ninjutsu in the past, but it was Boruto doing so basically on a fluke. Like how Sasuke told Naruto after the Ishiki battle, Boruto was never able to consciously activate the use of karma for space-time ninjutsu travel. Every time he's done it, it's been a fluke. Koji flat out tells Boruto that he can't control the power now, but based on what he saw with 10 Directions, it is a form of travel that Boruto does learn to control, but it takes him 6 years to be able to properly use the Otsutsuki clan space-time ninjutsu stuff, as well as the variation of the flying Raijin that Boruto's learning. And this basically means that even for a wonder kid like Boruto, he still has things that he struggles with, or rather there were still things he struggled with. So the way that Boruto in the future was learning to use space-time ninjutsu without the karma seal, because as we know, he is scared to use karma, it was basically placing his chakra into his ninja tools, from his kunai to Sasuke's sword and shuriken, and Boruto just tracks the location based on the chakra signature. Boruto was attempting to learn flying Raijin in the future, the jutsu made famous by his grandfather, but as Boruto, when he was learning the Rasengan, ended up making his own unique version of lightning release, vanishing Rasengan, Boruto ended up doing the same thing with flying Raijin. It functions very similarly, but it's a whole different jutsu altogether, just like the official Boruto database on the Naruto website told us. We now learn more of what makes it different. So Boruto does have limitations with this variation. Whereas Minato used seals and he teleported towards them, Boruto, he isn't planting seals on objects so much as he's embedding his own chakra into the tools, which they serve as a medium for him to track and teleport himself to them. However, where Boruto's variation has more flaws is that it first works best when he can see the tools, when they're in this direct field of vision. That will make it more accurate when he teleports. But as we saw when he went into the Ten Tails dimension, he didn't see the marker, but he could still teleport to it. But the trade-off is that when doing that, it's not as accurate. So for instance, the reason he could teleport to the tree when he fought Mitsuki and land right there on the tree is that he could visibly see where the shuriken had stuck the tree branch. But when he teleported to that Ten Tails dimension, he was a little off from where the toad was. He was still a few steps behind it. Several steps actually. To use a real world example to better paint a picture, think of it like this. Boruto's flying Raijin, it's like a GPS that took him to the exact house that was his desired destination. That's what happens when Boruto can see the ninja tools that he is embedded with this chakra. He's 100% at the right destination. However, if Boruto can't see where the tools are, but he can still sense them, then he is basically on the same street as the house that is his destination, but he's not directly at the house itself. He still has a little bit more travel to go after getting there. Hopefully that makes more sense. Future Boruto, being the second coming of Minato, he also picks up on several of the weaknesses of his jutsu, because he noticed that when he teleports to places where he has multiple things that have been marked, like say there are multiple shuriken, he can't fully maximize the jutsu, and it was harder for him to teleport over long distances, something that his grandfather and Tobirama, they could do at ease. Both of them could just zip around the battlefield and get exactly where they had placed markers, like we saw when Minato took down all those Stone Village shinobi. And also, as we saw, as long as they had something marked, they had no issues getting wherever, regardless of the distance. Minato literally teleported across 3 whole countries to get to the 4th Ninja War battlefield in order to assist Naruto, and he did it in only a few seconds. Boruto's limited in that aspect. That's part of why he tells Kashin Koji, hey, I'm not as good at this as my grandfather was. So what did future Boruto do in order to circumvent the weaknesses of his flying Raijin? Well, I'm glad you asked. So he realizes that if he makes specific metal pieces into different shapes, from triangles to stars, squares, etc., it would be easier for him to teleport over long distances. In short, all those metal studs on his outfit, they are functional. They all serve a purpose. They are all his markers for the flying Raijin. Being able to sense chakra in them is only half the battle. The other half is being able to visually picture them, which that makes it easier. If he has shuriken in multiple area, it throws him off. But say he only has one sunflower metal stud in one place and he has a square stud in another place in the same area, it becomes easier to lock on to whichever one, because he just has to visualize which one he wants to teleport to, because they have distinctly different appearances. Somewhere, the future animators at Studio Pierrot who are going to be assigned to Boruto, they're going to be screaming, because it's as we said here on the channel, back when Boruto's time skip design was first revealed to us, and you had all these idiots online saying that Boruto's just drawn to be edgy for the sake of being edgy. I said it back then, I'm saying it now. Every aspect of Boruto's design, it served a purpose, and it wasn't some edgy emo accessory. If you're Studio Pierrot, you're not going to be able to simplify the design like how the anime did for Boruto Part 1 at times. For a lot of Ikimoto's original character designs, where the details, they are stripped away in order to save time, due to Boruto's anime having a extremely unhealthy schedule. Even by the standards of a weekly anime, it was unhealthy. Fingers crossed that the production committee gives Boruto a healthy schedule, because Ikimoto's drawings in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex are more detailed than they were in Boruto Naruto Next Generations, which, as a reminder, seasonal anime does not automatically mean better schedule. For as many issues as Boruto Part 1 had, you had stretches of episodes in Boruto's anime that were better animated than some seasonal anime. Don't just use the exceptions like Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1, because those are outliers. Now, the next thing that we see is that out of Boruto is that when Kashin Koji isn't pushing him in the training, trying to help him learn jutsu that originally took Boruto 6 years to master, he's also warning Boruto they cannot tell people the events of the future. Koji warns Boruto that they have to keep the information to themselves and be careful what they say, because it's, as Koji said a few chapters ago, the future is not set in stone. The more information that gets made available to others, the more the future changes. And as Koji describes it with 10 directions, he's seeing all possible future outcomes. But once new decisions are made, all the other possible future outcomes that he previously saw, they cease to exist. Hence, I say this is not a multiverse, but Kashin Koji retains the knowledge of what happened in all those alternate scenarios, even though those alternate scenarios never happened. He's telling Boruto the closer they keep things to what he saw for this path that Boruto chose to go down, the one where he saves Sasuke but it ends up getting him killed by Jura, the greater the chance can be that they can alter the outcome itself. Basically, Koji's saying don't deviate too much, because when you deviate, it makes new unforeseen circumstances and we're not going to be able to plan for them. He stresses that too many people knowing the future, it could ruin all of that, and that their job is basically to guide the world to a better future than the one that is waiting for them at the end of this path. He and Boruto are basically the last defense that this world has in order to avoid that worst possible outcome, which there goes another death flag for Kashin Koji. They're laying it on really thick that he is important to all this, but by passing on this information to Boruto as well, it is making him slowly more expendable. Again, I would watch The Matrix. He's given the vibes of being the Oracle from The Matrix. Koji also reveals that he is aware that in the future, Ada will use her Senrigan to look in on their conversation. So there's a hidden double meaning here to him telling Boruto all this information verbally. It's also him telling Ada, hey, I know you are going to be watching this in the future. You might even be watching it right now. And if you don't want to die, do not repeat this information here. Be careful what you let out, which has both brilliant on the part of Kashin Koji as well as another death flag that something might be happening in the future, because she is Momushi's target. Now, where things get really funky is Ada, she doesn't just have a front row seat to Boruto's training and learning about the future, she also has a front row seat to that heated moment where class rep's feelings for Boruto lead to a heated scene with Sarada. After they learn that Boruto's purposely keeping them in the dark and Sarada gets mad, Boruto's once again trying to shoulder this burden on his own, class rep steps in by saying it's probably for the better they don't follow Boruto, which leads to Sarada correctly saying, hey, these enemies are too strong for Boruto to fight them alone, and had he been without help in the last battle, then he would have died, which that is correct. Sarada wasn't standing around the way class rep was. Sarada is why Boruto could use the Rasengan Uzuhiko at near full power. He had to stay stationary in order to gather the full chakra. However, class rep in so many words is saying that Sarada doesn't understand Boruto on the level that she understands Boruto, which is why she doesn't get Boruto's reasoning. And then that's when class rep's true feelings, they just come spilling out here. She brings up her feelings for Boruto in response to seeing how much Boruto's suffering in silence, and she gets flat out mad at Sarada for being the one who hugs Boruto. In so many words, she's making it known that she feels betrayed by that action, because she reminds Sarada that she is the one who likes Boruto. And that goes back to the scene from part 1 where Sumire is telling Sarada that she had a crush on Boruto. It's basically Sarada being told, hey, I called dibs on Boruto already. I didn't like the fact that you were hugging him. This leads to her going on further, saying that she wants to know how Sarada feels, and she understands why she might have hugged Boruto first. But she flat out hates the fact that Sarada didn't consider her feelings, and as she's running off completely in her feelings, being emotional, she leaves Sarada uncomfortable, and Ada is basically becoming my spirit animal right now, enjoying this teen drama angst that is coming from this apparent love triangle, which is probably going to make all these shipping debates stir up, and I'm probably going to have some fun on the thumbnail with this, just warning you right now. Which means it's finally time for me to make that final Boruto shipping video. We've done every sign Boruto and Sarada are in love. We've done every sign that Kawaki and Sarada are in love. Every sign that Kawaki and Class Rep are in love. Now we need to finish it off with every sign Boruto and Sumire are in love. Expect that video to be coming in the coming weeks. I'm finally going to record that video. I quit because when I did the Boruto Sarada video, I got death threats over that. Though being completely transparent, I've said privately in the Patreon Discord server for years now, I expect Boruto and Class Rep, that pairing, to be in-game, but I don't care outside of the discourse I get from talking possible scenarios with you guys. I don't read battle shonen for who's going to end up with who, but the Boruto and Sarada and Boruto Sumire stuff, it reminds me of the Naruto Sakura and the Naruto Hinata pairing wars. I see a lot of the same arguments being regurgitated, twisted around with new generation fans. I do think that Boruto and Sarada fans are going to be left mad the way that Kishimoto's wife was left mad at the end of Naruto, where Kishimoto trolled her by putting Naruto with Hinata, even though his wife was the model for Sakura and Kushina and Naruto was the model for Kishimoto. And Oda even said that Kishimoto's wife looks like Sakura, which that takes mega balls to troll your wife like that. The chapter review will hopefully be out on the 20th, but it might be the 21st, given my chapter review editor typically needs a couple days to edit, and we got spoilers so close to the release date. However, while you wait on that, click here to watch the Every Sign Boruto and Sarada are in Love video to get ready for the Boruto and Sarada Class Rep video coming in a few weeks, or click above that to watch the Truth About Hinata video, where in part of that video we discuss the Kishimoto and his wife information that you just heard about, or you can click here to watch this video from my Anime Explained channel where I discuss non-Naruto content.